Another relationship that we are going to learn is called as expressions. Now, when we say expressions, I want you to think mathematical expressions. So let me just go ahead and hide the cube for now. Let's just deal with p cone 1. And let's say that we are still trying to control the rotate x of p cone 1. Another way, especially if this particular parameter is going to be controlled by complex mathematical equations, uh, to control this particular attribute is to actually go into uh, the expression editor. So that is Windows Animation Editor's expression editor, and that brings up this little number right here. The first thing I want you to do when you're using the expression editor is to click on select filter and set it to by expression name. And all that does is it just alphabetically sorts out all the expressions you guys have written. And because we haven't written any expressions yet, everything is absolutely empty. So let's start by giving our relationship a name. Okay, our mathematical expression which is going to be governing the rotate x of my p cone 1. Let's say cone rotate x underscore expr stands for expression. The name of the expression isn't really that important. This is just for you to be able to identify what expression controls what when you eventually end up having lots and lots of expressions. Now here is where I'm going to start writing the expression. It's normally a good idea to start with what I like to say, what I like to call quotes or comments. So something like this expression will control rotate x of p cone 1. Now since I started this sentence out with these two guys right here, all of this is not typically considered to be code. It is just for you to insert information, other things such as this expression was written by Ashwin on whatever date. So I don't know what today's date is. Sorry about that. Anyways, so information is really important because if you revisit this expression in say a few months time, you should know what this does, when it was written, all that kind of stuff. So remember to start out with a comment always, which is basically your information line. Let's go back down, and now I'm going to start writing the expression. So what am I controlling? Which object am I controlling? P cone 1 is the object that I'm controlling. So start with that, and then type in the attribute name, which is dot rotate x. It's very important that you follow the case. Whatever needs to be in caps should be in caps. Whatever needs to be in lowercase needs to be in lowercase. If you make those mistakes, Maya will refuse to identify this as a legitimate expression. So p cone 1 dot rotate x equals, let's say, 5. Are you done with the expression? If you are, put in a semicolon and say create. And so what that means is when I select this, and there you go, your rotate x is now set to 5, and also a new color has been introduced into your channel box, lavender. So lavender, remember, is the color of expression editor. And this was fairly simple. This is me just allotting one flat value of 5 to the rotate x of my p cone 1, if you will. But this mathematical equation can be much more complex as you go. Let me go ahead and open up my, or show my p cube 1. Okay, what if I don't want my rotate x to be just simply 5? I want my rotate x to follow translate z of p cube 1. So I can make this much more interesting. I can say that p cone 1 dot rotate x equals p cube 1 dot translate z. Once you're done writing, make sure you have a semicolon in the end and say edit, so it knows that you're done editing it. And now what happens is, as I start to control it, it almost acts as a connection editor. 16.361, 16.361. Just copied and pasted, which is fantastic. Which is cool. But I can do some more interesting things with it because this is a mathematical expression. Let's say, for example, I want my rotate x or my cone to rotate twice as fast as my cube translates. Which means if my cube translates from 0 to 5, I want my cone to rotate from 0 to 10, twice as much. So the mathematical formula for that is going to be very simple. I want my p cone 1 dot rotate x equals p cube 1 dot translate z multiplied by 2. Edit. And now see, rotates much faster. If I set that to 5, this is set to 10. Translate z is set to 5. Rotate x of my cone is set to 10. I can even change that value. I can say 100. Get it? And now it makes it more sensitive. You see it? And that is, of course, just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what mathematical equations can do. You can do so much more with this, really, once you start understanding trigonometry, once you start understanding vector algebra and all those things. We'll get into that when the time comes. But you should know that the expression editor tends to slow down your scene a lot. Just because mathematical expressions are as hard for Maya to calculate as they are for you. Every time it's trying to calculate an expression is going to spend a significant amount of time. So once you start having lots and lots of expressions, the scene would be visibly slow. So be very careful of how many expressions you have. Things to remember is that this is a mathematical expression. It installs a lavender color in the channel box for the objects. It also tends to slow down the scene a lot. You don't have to select any objects while actually typing in the expression because all the names of the objects are in here itself. So there's no selection that has to be made. But you can have a lot of fun with the expression editor eventually.